Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and happy Thanksgiving to Americans, and happy what is probably a Friday or late Thursday night for everybody else. Wanted to go ahead and let you all know that I appreciated you guys all bearing with me while we got through a ton of videos. I was staying up pretty late last night trying to get out as many as I could for you, so some of the audio quality and some of the visuals probably suffered a little bit, but hopefully we're getting back on track now. And we're going to go ahead and show off the new Dread Cutlass Black. Now, as you can probably tell, the overall skin of this ship is a little bit different. It's got a darker look to it overall. It is much bigger. We've seen quite a bit of this in, Josh Kuhn's updates and, various kind of like ship shape episodes, just giving us the updates. But all in all, this ship is just a lot bigger. It's a lot bulkier. It's a little bit more aggressive looking. You can see the redesigned cockpit area, which again just has a better look to it overall. We do have more weaponry on this ship now, so instead of having a chin-mounted gun, you have under-wing, mounts up here on each side. So we have one here and one on the other side. Then you also have another set of guns kind of on the shoulders, right in that region, and you'll see another one right there. And then finally, you've got two weapons up on the turret up top. So there is a significant increase in the amount of weapons that you bring to a fight on this ship now. Also, durability seems to be a little bit improved, and just overall performance of the ship is in a better place. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the side where you can now see that there are side doors. This one appears to be open, even though I don't actually remember opening it. But it gives you an idea of what some of that functionality would be like when you're in the game itself. And let's go ahead and walk around to the back, and then we'll show you the interior of the ship. It's got a pretty big footprint on it. And if you're unfamiliar, we are on Yella, where you can see the asteroid belt around. That's Crusader over there. That red spot out in the distance, I believe, is supposed to be a pyro system, and we're just basically on the moon's surface. So let's go ahead and head up into the ship, and I'm going to turn on the flashlight to give us a little bit better visual. Out back, you've got 3 seats there and 3 seats there, so those are actually jump seats for anybody that wants to get on board and come along with you, so like a boarding party, transport mission, whatever it may be. You've got some component locations like you see on a lot of these ships on both sides. And then this is where you really have some of the more functionality on the ship, like here is how you're going to close up the back door. You can see the gear in motion, pretty neat. Up here is where you actually start getting into your main cargo area. It is a pretty big space. Again, I think this is going to be component housing. But there are mag plates that are present within these kind of yellow locations. You can see there's indicators showing you where your cargo should ideally be stacked. This is also the type of area where you could end up landing a dragonfly if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and come over here. You can see the door was closed. That was a visual bug with this being a PTU. But those doors open. They open very quickly. And from the inside of the craft, you get an idea. This would be a really good way if you're in space to actually have cargo brought into your ship, whether that be totally legit or illicit, doesn't really matter. Search and rescue gets a lot of boons from having this available. Now, there's no real ramp here, so as far as ground cargo, it's not super useful, but you do have a big ramp on the back, so that kind of mitigates that as a problem. And it makes for some nice sightseeing as well. You've got another one on this side that does exactly the same thing. So let's go ahead and head up to what's kind of deemed the new crew area. Up here again, you've got some component housing. You've got your weapons racks, which is great. More component housing, 2 bunks, as well as your turret, which we will get into in just a moment. And then you've got your cockpit area where you've got your co-pilot seat and your pilot seat, both of which end up going up when you actually get into them, getting them into the right position. So if you're kind of wondering why there's 2 bunks, I think it's ideally because you've got somebody flying the ship at all times. So you have a pilot or a co-pilot and a gunner, so those 2 people would be kind of working in shifts to get sleep while somebody maintains flying the ship. So let's go ahead and enter the turret. The animation is quick. We'll get up in here. And once you're inside, you'll see that you get the targeting now of the different locations, so you can actually help doing some navigating in this area. We can turn on power if we want to. And the overall ship's power right now isn't on, so I'm not going to be getting a whole lot of use. Exit is right here. And then you get your change weapons fire button. And this is going to let you go from having weapons firing at the same time to weapons firing in altering motion. That alternating fashion is kind of nice in regards to getting just a better chance of landing some shots. DPS is probably about the same, but it's not going to be the same if you were to like land both shots kind of consistent basis. So it's a little bit something to keep in mind. I think for most people that alternating is probably going to be the better bet, especially in a somewhat difficult seat like the turret where things are going to be moving around. So as we get in, we'll go ahead and power this bad boy up. For those of you that want to know, you exit by coming over to the right with your inner thought system. Again, we could go through our complex boot up process, but I'm just a fan of hitting F5 and getting going. Let's let our engines come online. And we're going to get up in the air. So as we fly, I'll go ahead and get you a base SCU speed as far as how fast we can go. Alright, well, as I was trying to get up to speed, I ended up getting a server crash message, so I've rebooted back in to get you a little bit of footage around Al-Azhar. So basically what the speeds are on the ship is you get about 220 meters per second in SCM, and if you want to use your afterburner, you can climb all the way up to about 330 meters per second. But ultimately, when you want to get really up to that afterburner cruise mode, kind of the one that you can do in atmosphere, or outside of atmosphere, I should say, you can get up to about 1113 to 1115 meters per second. So for a ship of the size, it does move pretty quick. The big difference you're going to notice is the acceleration. It takes a long time to get up to those speeds as compared to something like a fighter, and I think that's kind of speaks to the new balance of, the ship has big engines, but it also has a lot of weight to it, so it kind of makes sense for the way that's actually going to work. Flight-wise, it handles itself fine. Doesn't really matter if you're on planet or in space. It handles pretty similarly. I think the amount of wings and kind of wide footprint on the ship help with that. It does noticeably slow down a little bit when you're in the planet. You do become a little bit more drifty, and basically all of the flight problems that you find when you're in space, as far as the lack of acceleration, the lack of deceleration, and the lack of agility, those just become a little bit more exaggerated in space. Haven't done a lot of combat with the ship yet. We'll get to that, and I'll review it in that capacity later on. So in the meantime, if you guys have questions, let me know. Otherwise, hopefully when you guys get in, you get a chance to use the ship, because it is very well designed, and it gets me really excited to use my Cutlass Blue. So have yourselves a wonderful night. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and stay tuned for a whole lot more. Take care.